Hello there, welcome. It is my last week in London, so the audio for the pod should be a bit better for next week, i.e., less cars in the background. But today we are going to be chatting about balance. What is a balanced diet? Is it a perfectly even split between protein, carbs, and fat? Is it the idea of 80-20? So eating healthfully 80% of the time and reaching for treats 20% of the time? Is it eating everything in moderation? What is a balanced dietary approach? It's super vague, right? First of all, if you are stoked on how you're looking, feeling, and performing, and your current lifestyle, food included, is working for you, congrats. You found balance, at least for the time being. So just keep it rolling, because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, on the other hand, if you are not feeling, looking, and performing the way that you'd like to, you see room for improvement, and your lifestyle is leaving you with more to be desired, something or things are unbalanced. And so the question becomes, how do you attain balance from where you are right now? Think about yourself on a balance beam. All right, let's say you're walking across a beam and you lose your footing just a little and you begin to tip to one side. What do? You compensate. It's automatic. So if you're tipping to your right, all of a sudden your left arm and left leg extend out to your side in order to restabilize your center of gravity. Your body is doing its best to rebalance itself on the beam. Attaining dietary and lifestyle balance is no different. For example, if you're 20 pounds heavier than you'd like to be, you are tipping off the beam. And in order to regain balance, you need to compensate for that 20 pounds. You gotta kick your left arm and left leg out and save yourself from falling off. Meaning, sometimes you need to get what appears to be unbalanced in order to find balance. Appropriate compensation needs to occur. For example, if you've overspent and gotten yourself into some debt and you'd like to get out of it, you need to put a budget and a saving plan together in order to get yourself back to baseline financially. Now, is saving, by definition, balance? In a vacuum, no, because you're saving more than you're spending, right? But in order to get yourself out of debt, you've got to save some cash and balance out your previous spending habits. So you need to get quote unquote unbalanced in order to find balance. Now, if you're in debt and you stop spending more than you're currently making and begin to break even, i.e. you spend what you make, so let's say you make $5,000 a month and you spend $5,000 a month, you will never dig yourself out of that financial hole because you're already in it, and spending exactly what you're making just keeps you there. Now, how is this relevant to a balanced diet? Many folks are in metaphorical debt in terms of their bodies, and they often have an expectation that in order to get themselves out of said debt, they can stop overspending and start spending exactly what they're making. You can't. You need to go over and above and actually save in order to get yourself out of the hole. So, in order to get the body that you want, sometimes you need to do things that don't appear balanced in every way, shape, or form at that time. But you're paying off prior debt. You're rebalancing yourself on the beam, and in order to do that, appropriate compensation is required. Meaning, if you have 20 pounds to lose, you can't eat at your caloric maintenance because eating what you're burning is the same as spending what you're making. And so it's a great way to maintain your weight. However, it's a terrible way to lose fat. You have to create a calorie deficit in order to chip away at that excess 20 pounds. This is exactly what I coach my clients through. So, your goal is fat loss, and let's say that you have 3 dinners out this week planned, and you go to these dinners and you stay mindful of what and how much you're eating, as well as how much you're drinking. And one of your friends says, "Oh, come on, just order the pizza or have another drink with me, live a little." Balance, right? This is no different than being in debt at a shopping mall with the same friend, and you're looking at an expensive item that doesn't fit with your budget, and your friend is like, oh, come on, just buy it. You deserve it. Live a little. That snapshot from your friend's perspective, or maybe even your own, may not appear like quote unquote balance. But if you've got 20 pounds to lose, that compensation needs to come from somewhere, right? If your goal is to get out of debt, you're going to need to opt out of buying that expensive item at least sometimes. And in the context of losing 20 pounds, you simply can't afford all the pizza and the booze. Think about it like this. If someone looked at your life on a Tuesday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., and you worked for 3 hours and you took a 1 hour lunch break, is that balanced? Clearly not. But if you zoom out and look at your week as a whole, you likely worked for about 40 hours and you slept for hopefully 50 hours plus, and you had the rest of your time free. When things are looked at in isolation, they essentially always appear unbalanced, but they're often not, because when you zoom out, you realize that sometimes in those isolated moments, you're just kicking your left leg and left arm out to position yourself more comfortably on the beam. So let's go through this in steps. How do you find dietary balance for yourself? i.e., you're stoked on how you're looking, feeling, and performing within the context of your lifestyle and your priorities. Step 1, determine your goal. Now, like I mentioned before, if you're already where you want to be, you're good to go. And unless your goals change, you can keep riding that wave. But if not, get clear about what it is that you want. After you've set out your goal, step 2 is to determine what's required in order to achieve it. So if it's to lose 20 pounds, you'll need to structure your nutrition accordingly, which means you have to be in a calorie deficit, and I'd recommend favoring single ingredient whole foods for the vast majority of your intake because they're the most nutrient dense, the most filling, and the most digestion friendly. Step number 3 is to simply monitor your progress and make the necessary adjustments along the way in order to continue to lose fat. I do this via progress photos and detailed weekly questions with my coaching clients. Now, if you want to progress faster, you can take a more aggressive approach. And if you're in no rush at all, you can take a slower approach. Once you reach your goal, you can then increase your calorie intake to maintenance, i.e., spending what you're making because you're now balanced. You're no longer paying off prior debt. Now, as far as maintaining your progress goes, I use a traffic light system with my clients. For example, let's say that they're stoked on their lifestyle as well as how they're looking, feeling, and performing at 130 pounds. Our green light zone could be from 128 to 132, meaning as long as we're in that zone, it's a keep doing what you're doing because we're right on track dealio. Our yellow light zone could be from 133 to 135, and that means you might want to start to reel things in a little bit, nutrition and lifestyle wise, before they get out of hand. Our red light zone would be 136 and up. So as soon as we hit 136, it's like stop what you're doing and get back on track because things are clearly beginning to get out of hand. The lighter you are, the smaller I'd recommend that your traffic light zones be. And if you're bigger, you can afford to have a little bit larger zones because it's relative. For example, 1 pound to someone who is 100 pounds is equivalent to 2 pounds for someone who is 200 pounds. If you honor this system, you literally can't ever get too far off track. And in my opinion, it's the best way to maintain progress as well as balance. It's not overly rigid, it's got some flexibility, but at the same time, it does have clear landlines that keep you on track long term. The real take-home point here is there are just under 8 billion balanced diets because everyone has to determine what balance is for them. The only person that knows what your priorities truly are is you. And there is no right or wrong definition of balance, but rather what fits for you as an individual given your current lifestyle, preferences, goals, priorities, etc. And truth be told, these things are always shifting and changing as we develop as humans. And so a balanced diet really is a moving target as opposed to this hyper rigid and fixed thing. Now, for some folks, that might be bad news because they have the mentality that, oh, I just need to get in shape and then I'm done. And it's like, that's not the way that it works. Because that's like saying, oh, I just need to get into a relationship and then I'm good to go. And it's like, it takes effort and awareness to maintain a healthful relationship, just like it does a healthful lifestyle. If you lose that 20 pounds, balance yourself out, and then just go right back to what you were doing prior to said fat loss, you're going to put that weight back on. The same habits that had you gain balance are the same habits that are going to support you to maintain balance. And if you slip up, no sweat. We all do. Just hop back on track. If you're interested in applying for one-on-one nutritional coaching and or workout design with me, you can click the link in the description below or head on over to n1fitness.com/coaching. On Instagram, I'm at n1fitness. On TikTok, I'm at the n1fitness. And on YouTube, I'm at Marcus Sadu. If you'd like to, feel free to leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice, as it helps us reach more folks with this info. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that you found this episode useful, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya!